All right, so before we begin chapter 1, understand that chapter 1, I know, is a lot of stuff that you've already learned. But unfortunately, at least for the most part, but unfortunately, it is stuff that you need to know for this class. So we do spend a bit of time going through this, and I understand it is a little bit, or a lot review for many of you. So the first thing we're going to go through is the concept of sig figs. And this is one of those subjects as a teacher that is difficult to teach because we're at such varying levels of understanding of sig figs. There are some of you who've been working with them for years, and there are some who they're relatively new for. So I don't actually teach sig figs because every one of you should have already learned stuff about sig figs. There are a few minor exceptions to that. So what I do instead of teaching you sig figs is I put examples of numbers on the board of sig figs, and I call on various students to tell me the number of sig figs in a particular number. Your responsibility as the other students in the class is to be paying attention, and if you do not understand why a particular number has a certain number of sig figs, it is your responsibility to ask me. Raise your hand and ask. So here we go. Significant digits. 4.7 has how many significant digits? Luke?
2.
Has 2 significant digits. The number 100. Joe has how many significant digits?
1.
The number 706 has how many significant digits? Eileen? 3. The number 400.0 has how many significant digits? Lauren? 4. The number 4040, Emily, has how many significant digits? 3. The number 0.002 has how many significant digits? Thomas?
3.
The number 0.0020 has how many significant digits? Eric? 4. Daily expectation. Let's see. If you do not understand something, it is your responsibility to let me know that you do not understand it. How many of you right now are wondering why one of those has a certain number of sig figs? Okay, your hand should be up. Raise your hand if you have a question about one of those sig figs. Raise it up all the way, high, okay? Look at this. And for some reason, you're not willing to ask a question, right? We'll get there. I gotta harangue you first. Understand this. Many times when students make mistakes, I will not correct you because it is your responsibility as a student to be paying attention and notice when mistakes are made. This is great for your brain because it keeps you always thinking about what's going on. Mistakes are fine, I'm fine with that, but you as a student are responsible for figuring out when there are mistakes. Annalie, what would you like to, where do you think there's a mistake?
The last one and the second from last one.
Okay, well, let's start with the second from last one. We'll do this one next. So 0.002, you say does not have 3 sig figs, it has?
1.
Okay, which is the significant digit then?
Just the 2.
The only significant number is the 2. That is correct. 0.0020. Chloe? How many sig figs is that?
2.
2. Okay, which are the 2 that are significant?
The 2 and the last 0.
The 2 and the last 0. So notice that none of these zeros are significant because they are to the left of a non-zero number, and there are no non-zero numbers over here, so none of these are significant. This 0 right here is significant because it's to the right of a non-zero number and to the right of the decimal. And you can understand why I don't normally go through those rules, because they kind of go in and out and kind of go whoop. Nobody really doesn't work very well. It's best to actually just go through examples, understand specific examples, and be able to apply them specifically. So we have 0.0020, which has 2 sig figs. All right, let's keep going. 0.000247 has how many sig figs? Houston?
I don't know.
Okay, why don't you get...
I mean, I think there'd be 4 because there's 4 and 2 and 0.
Okay, so which 4 are you thinking? Just so I got
2, 0, 4, and 7.
Okay, so notice 2, 0. Notice that that's pretty much like this one, right? So that would make sense that these 2 would be significant. The 2 is pretty much the 4, the 2 are similar, so these 4 are significant. And notice that these 4 over here are insignificant, just like these are. So 4 is correct. All right, let's do some more. Let's do 1.0. 1.0 has how many significant digits? Joe?
2.
2. How about 104,020? 104,020. Allison? How many sig figs? 5, okay. There are 6 numbers there, so which is the one that is insignificant? The last 0, the 0 in what we would call the tens place if we were in elementary school, but somehow between here and elementary school we lost the concept of tens, hundreds, thousands place. But I have elementary school students, so I think that way. I'm interested in, I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, this 0 here would be insignificant for the same reason that these 2 zeros over here are insignificant. But notice that these 2 zeros are significant for the same reason that this 0 right here is significant. Notice that this one and this one are essentially redundant with one another. They're testing the exact same thing. All right. 1,200 or 1,200 has how many sig figs? Luke?
2.
2. Which 2 are insignificant then?
The 2 zeros.
The 2 zeros. Just like 100. The same thing. Okay. What about 1,200 with a dot there? According to your book, Ben, what does that have? How many sig figs? It actually does not, according to the book, have 2. I'll try again. 4. According to the book, that has 4. Please be aware, I do not accept this as an answer for the same reason that you'll notice that I always write I'll write 0.48, just as an example. I would never write 0.48. And here's where you get the benefit of my experience. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and so I went through engineering school. Gloria, can you see? Because you're kind of squinting.
I forgot my glasses.
Okay, so it's an issue that you just
Yeah.
forgot your glasses.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you see well enough right now?
I can see, yeah.
Okay, so all right, good.
Sorry.
That's fine. I was just trying to figure out what's going on. So I went through engineering school. When you start engineering school, the problems take up, just the first half of the first page or something like that. Well, as you get farther and farther into engineering school, the problems just get longer and longer. Eventually, you're doing 5 to 10 page problems. And I found kind of, I believe, second semester my freshman year, I realized that after doing a 3-page problem and getting it wrong and spending an hour trying to figure out what I'd done wrong, that somewhere on page 2, my 0.48 had become 48. So I got the whole thing wrong. But notice that if instead you write 0.48, that's becoming 0.48, you're going to wonder why does it have a 0 in front of there, and you're much less likely to wonder what to not notice what's going on. So please do not write like this, and do not do this. This dot is way too easily lost. Okay, how do we do 1,200 with 3 sig figs? 1,200 with 3 sig figs. Herman.
Would you put a line over the 0 in the first place?
in the tens. I do not accept this either for the same reason. I know the book says you could do it this way, but for two reasons I don't. One, that line is easily lost, and two, it's actually not all that common to do, and it's much more common to do it in a different way, which we're going to continue to use throughout the course of the school year. Joseph?
1.20 times 10 to the third.
Using the concept of scientific notation, 1.20 times 10 to the third is the same thing as 1200, only it has 3 sig figs. So that is the way that you should do 3 sig figs for 1200. And we're going to use scientific notation a lot in this class, so you should get used to using scientific notation. Now, this covers everything you need to know about sig figs for determining number of sig figs for this class. Now, I do understand for some of you, you're looking at this and this all makes absolute sense. For a couple of you, probably a small handful, you're still looking at that and not fully understanding it. And what I'm going to try to do today is at the end of class have a few minutes where I can talk to individuals about individual issues with any particular pieces of that. Okay, now, how do we use sig figs in this class? The truth is that there are rules for multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction. But in this class, we're really never going to take two numbers, add them together, and say, whoop, that's our answer. Instead, we're going to do a whole bunch of work called algebra. We need to talk about how we're going to work with that. So in a problem, we're going to have a bunch of knowns. And the answer, the number of sig figs on the answer is determined by the number of sig figs on the knowns. For example, if the displacement in the x direction is 12.7 meters, the initial velocity in the y direction is 14 meters per second, and the change in time is equal to 72.047 seconds, we're going to do a bunch of stuff that is not magic, but rather algebra. And then we're going to come to an answer. And the question is, how many sig figs should our answer have? How are we? 2. How are you getting that?
Because you have to go by your least, how to say it, like least, or like, you have to go off of the one with the least number of decimals.
Least number of significant digits. Correct. So let's just walk through them. 12.7 has 3, 14?
2.
Colorina?
2.
And 72.047?
5.
5. So notice, as you said, the least number of significant digits on the knowns that we use is 2, so our answer also needs to have 2. And that's how we work with significant digits in this class. Now, when you are solving the problem, you need to realize that you do not round in the middle of a problem. If you were to round at every step in the problem, you're going to end up changing the answer, and that's not good. You want to make sure that you keep a whole bunch of sig figs as you're going through the problem. Now, if you do have an answer to part A, you do need to give the correct number of sig figs for the answer for part A, but if you use the answer for part A to figure out the answer for part B, the number that you use has to have a whole bunch of sig figs. So we'll go through an example of that as we get farther into the class. But please make sure you do not round as you go through